Hey there, and welcome to Destination I Do's podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Stein, and photography is one of the most important parts of a wedding. Let's get real. Your photos are something that lasts forever. It's something you're going to invest a lot of money in, and you want to make sure they're right. So today we're talking about what every couple should know about their destination wedding photography. And I am joined by the most expert guest imaginable, Sandra Åberg. She is an internationally acclaimed fashion and wedding photographer who is known for blending elegance of high fashion with the romance of destination weddings. She's been featured everywhere: Vogue, Brides, Harper's Bazaar, and of course, Destination I Do. Welcome to the show, Sandra. I'm so happy to have you on.
Yay, thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun.
Okay, let's talk for a second about your photography style. So destination weddings are a little different because, there's a lot of elements. You're usually outdoors to some degree. How do you uniquely capture the essence of a luxury destination wedding? Like, what's your style? Like, how could you describe it?
Well, so I think for me, it's a lot about obviously the couple, first and foremost, like their love story is what inspires me. And usually that love story is somehow tied to the destination they've chosen. At least that's how I prefer it to be, or there's a story of how they chose that place. And so that's like my first inspiration for the entire thing. And that's one of the first things I want to know is like, why did you choose this place? Like, why France? Why Italy? Why Mexico? And what's the story behind that? And just kind of be able to incorporate their love story with the environment. I think that like is what makes destination weddings just like super special, that not only do you bring all your best people, friends and family to this like location you love, like when do you ever get to do that in your life, but you also get to merge the two, like the love story with the place. That for me is like epic.
I love that.
Epic.
So you are known for photographing really famous people, but you're usually under NDA, so you can't really talk about them or showcase them on your website or your Instagram. So I want to know, what do you look for when you're telling a couple's love story through your lens? Like, especially in a breathtaking location, and does it factor in that they are like some of your clients are very like popular billionaires that you see on every headline, or does it matter if they're like a Tom, Dick, or Harry? Like, how do you approach it, or do you approach it any differently?
I don't think so. No, I don't approach it like differently. For me, it doesn't matter. The story is what matters, and the people is what matters, and whoever's in front of me is, I don't know, it's like I just really love people. And so whoever those people are in front of me, I find a way to love them and understand them. And oftentimes that truly does grow into like, I truly love them, but you kind of have to, you don't know people. And usually in relationships, we have time to build that love for someone, but here you're kind of being thrown into it. If you're lucky, you meet them for your engagement session with them. But otherwise, maybe you meet them on the day other than Zoom calls. So for me, it's like, I fall in love with them. Like I see their story, I see their hearts, I see their souls, and I'm like fortunate to photograph really good people, I think. Like they're really great people. It doesn't matter if they have fame and fortune, money or not. Like they're just great people. And that's what I found is like, I'm so thankful if I attract kind, good-hearted people
Yeah.
and not like, I would struggle if they weren't nice.
Yeah.
I don't know how I deal.
Well, and I'm sure, you've been in business how many years?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've come across some of those that
Yes.
are not nice. Do you
Yeah.
ever like see that coming, like before you kind of start photographing them, where you're like, uh-oh, Mayday, red flag?
Mayday, mayday. I think um, it happens very rarely now. I just think because I have a much more feeling for who fits like my personality or brand, like the people that I have. It's not just me, it's like a team of people, right? So they all work like me and know what I really, really value. So they're all people that I bring in and under those values. And so I think it's very rare now, but of course, over the years, it's happened tons of times where it's like, put the countdown on the phone, and you're just kind of making it through. But it's been years since I've had one of those, honestly, and it shows also that maybe I'm communicating better in my photos what I'm
Mhm.
looking for rather than. And I don't show any famous people. I don't show any of that because it's not what's important
Mm.
either. And I don't really like that idea. I
Mhm.
like that they come to me because they like my work.
I love that. Oh my God, it's so refreshing. It's so refreshing. So how do you know what do you look for to figure out if a couple is a fit for you? Like, are there ever times where you have someone who does love your work, but you realize like they're not a fit for whatever reason? Like, how do you figure out if you guys are going to jive?
I think it's a lot of like, so when you have that initial call, I have a feeling right away. Like it's almost instantly. I don't know energetically. I feel that like the first time I met you, I was just like, yes, like
Yeah.
it's like a yes person. And when I
Yeah.
have that, I know
Hmm.
it's going to be great. When I
Yeah.
have this, like, oh, I'm not quite sure, then I try to understand, like, people can also be nervous on a call or they
Yeah.
can their dog just smashed the house. You don't know where they are,
Yeah.
so you try to like figure out, is this a right now moment or are we really not a match? Like I
Yeah.
can have a bad day and still have to get on a call, is that going to also affect the connection? Because I think like we truly connect our souls, even though it's just through screens, like there's something there. And yes, sometimes I just feel like they're not fit more energetically or even like aesthetically. So
Mhm.
if they ask me a lot of questions like, um, I want a lot of my photos to be like in a dark, moody kind of vibe. I'm like right away, I'm like, that's not my thing. Like I love that too. That's super cool. You know what? I know the photographer that because I know so many brilliant photographers, and I'm more than happy to send them to someone that's the right fit for them because I'm like, yes, I love that, but that's not me. Like, because it's not always that the client knows what they're looking for
Mhm.
until they speak to us as photographers and I ask questions and I'm like, could you send me 10 photos you love? Like
Mhm.
that's a really good indication right away. If they're sending me dark and moody, I'm like, not, it's not gonna happen, or they
Yeah.
ask me, do you use flash in every photo? And I'll be like, no, I don't. Like I like natural light, but I'll fill in flash if needed. Or if we do want to do something more fashiony, I'm also up for that, but we have to talk through what that means for you.
Right.
So I think that's what really quickly determines not just like is the energy right, but is the vision for your wedding right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's so important. And I think so many couples, like they get excited because they're like, it's the Sandra Åberg that I'm like looking at, wow. And then, but you're right. Like if they do have these really moody,
Yeah, like
images in mind or really posed or really sharp, super crisp, like not you. Like you're much more ethereal. You're much more like working with nature, working with natural light and like softer and lighter and brighter. And personally, like I really, when I look at your work, I'm like, oh my God, it's such beauty. It's truly artwork to me.
good.
And like, and I mean that truly. And so I think that one just because like you are super super talented doesn't necessarily mean like you're saying their vision fits perfectly with who you are at your core, and for you to be expected to completely change the way you do your whole process, like that's
Yeah.
you're not going to be authentic to your work if you do that, right?
No, and I don't want to do that. Like I had a couple this year that was really, we had a lot of talks and all of a sudden I found out like they really wanted like super, it's very in with the flash
Hmm.
photography. And it's
Hmm.
not that I can't do it. Like I know how to do that. Like I'm perfectly capable. And I used to do it in fashion 15 years ago. Like I can do it. And I was like, I can totally do that. And then the more we talked, the more I was like, No, they literally want that like all
The whole
day,
time. Yeah.
the whole thing. Like they wanted those. And I know great photographers that just they do, that's what they do. And I was like, it's not me.
Yeah.
Like the photos you're sending me, this is not me. Like I'm happy to accommodate it to a certain degree, but I cannot like change my style for you. Like I
Yeah.
did much more in integrity to go, you know what? There's great photographers that do that. And so that's what I did. And you know, they're great colleagues, all of them. So I'm happy. Someone's
Good.
gonna
Good. And I think that's true too. Like there's probably ones that are very moody and, flash forward that when they
Yeah.
meet with someone, they're like, oh, you want ethereal and like natural, like you need to talk to Sandra. Like, so I'm sure it goes
Exactly.
both ways, I would hope. So,
Yes,
so
I think
let's
so.
along those lines, what are some of the biggest mistakes that couples make in regards to their destination wedding photography, and how do you have any advice for how they can avoid it?
I think a big mistake is maybe not booking, like, first of all, your vendors that you love in it, like in good time. And
Mhm.
then I mean like almost right away when you get engaged. And it's a bit brutal, right? But it it's just so sad sometimes when people contact me and then I'm booked and you really want to be there for them, but you're also just you can't be two places. And so I think one of the things is to like really immediately start thinking kind of, and I know it sounds a bit brutal, but like start thinking into like who are the most important vendors we have? Do we really care about photography? Then let's go, after planner, maybe then that's what the first thing we look at is. Um, I see that to be like a big problem, especially if,
Mhm.
at least from my angle, when I'm booked out, it like hurts my heart. And obviously now I have a team that works for me. And so I can still send our presents, but I'm not there. But still, it's still us and it's still me editing everything. So now I feel confident after 10 years of having these associates shoot every wedding with me. I'm like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like you're in great hands. But that could be a thing that I think can be problematic. Not everybody has a team, like you might want a specific vendor and it's kind of maybe messes up your vibe if you don't have that vendor for some
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
So
for
like
sure.
time for that.
Yeah.
Um, what else? Like,
As
hmm,
as far as the photography side of it, do you
yeah.
feel like are there things that couples should be doing? Like they need to make sure they meet over Zoom, like even if you're in Sweden and they're here in the US or they're in Mexico or wherever, do you think that not meeting over Zoom and just having a phone call or just trying to book someone through looking at their portfolio is a mistake? Like how important is that part of it?
I think connection is everything. Like personally, that for me is everything for them and for me. So you got to have that call. You can tell a lot by texting or emailing people, but you can't 100% tell that that's your person.
Yeah.
And a lot of my clients, I can say with certainty, and they've told me afterwards, they were like, from our first call, it was just like, yes,
Yeah.
and that's how it should feel. And I think, especially for your wedding, that's how it should feel. It should be that gut yes. It's like,
No.
yes,
Yeah.
these are my people. Because we're like around them all day. We're like there with you. We become such a huge part of this day. So I think like having that gut yes for your people around you, like you wouldn't invite someone where you're like, oh, I don't really want them at my wedding,
Right? Like total vibe killer.
Exactly. You want like those right people, the people that jive with you, that has your back if
Yeah.
anything goes down. Like,
All right, let's talk for a second about expense because that is, I mean, even super luxury clients still have a number in their mind that they're working with, right? So let's say you have someone who is definitely, they're a luxury client because that's usually who would fit with you,
yeah,
but price is still a factor. How,
especially
how,
now.
yeah, especially
Yeah.
now. So if they love two photographers, they really do. But expense, like how big of a deciding factor should that be in your opinion?
I think it's one of those things that it always like breaks my heart a little when we come, like I always tell them like I don't like this part. This is not my favorite part. Like it's really hard, It's like I want you to be happy,
Mhm.
but I also know, and I've had like these years and years of experience, and I've had to go and photograph people's wedding photos after. Like they've actually reached out to me after their wedding and been like, could
Mm.
you do like just a 2 hour session? Because we like hate our wedding
Oh,
photos.
that's awful.
And yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of just gives me chills because I'm like, it's such, that day is going to kind of mark the beginning of your life together. And it's like a memory. It's for your kids, it's for your grandkids. So for me, uh, also as a photographer, of course, it's like price doesn't matter. It's not like that, but it's also like really weigh like what's that going to mean for you in the long run? Like what is it going to be worth? And maybe if we're differing 2,000 euros, like it's not worth saving it. But if it's 10, 15,000 euros, okay, maybe it's worth considering. Like,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say on smaller amounts
Yeah.
if that's like your person, you
Well,
know?
and the thing is, I think couples quickly start realizing how fast the money goes, right? Like they've got
Yeah.
this budget and they're like, oh my gosh, like I want this and this. I want the Prosecco van. I want, the photo booth. I want a drone show. I want there is, and let's just get real, people, there is no end to the amount of money you can spend on your wedding. Like, oh,
Nope.
Jeff Bezos just basically blew the door, the thing up. We all saw it, I think even people in the wedding industry were gasping when they saw some of like, the figures coming out. Now, whether or not those are accurate at this point, I don't know. But they were shocking. So he's proof that there's no end to what you can spend. But I will say that, as my husband likes to point out, shavings make a pile. So you have maybe like you decide not to do the Prosecco van and that you're still going to have champagne or, Prosecco at your wedding. You just don't have the van. And then that's going to give you a bigger budget for
Yeah.
something else like your photography or your floral budget or whatever. So
Yeah.
like things start to add up very, very quickly, especially when it comes to weddings. And I'm with you. Like, if you're going to spend money, to me, it's like the guest experience. That is definitely really important for a lot of people. But
Yeah.
photography, videography, those are the things that is really the only
Exactly.
keepsake from your day. And you can look back on it. My husband and I, every year, we're 20 years this year, we still every year look back at our wedding album, and we didn't get a video, which I absolutely, like, one of my biggest regrets was not getting a video. But 20 years
Yeah.
ago, let's just talk about what the videos looked like. It was not what they are today
Maybe you don't regret
at all. Yeah.
it.
Like the little like phone, like I don't even think cameras were on phones at that point, but
They
like
were
the
kind of
little
crap.
handheld videos that people like cobbled together, that's what we have. And honestly, that's probably, I don't know that we really missed out all that much at that point based on what like was offered at the time. But I do think like when we look back, we still have our wedding photography displayed on our walls. We still have a book on our coffee table that we look through. So and you're right, it is something that not only do you get, but your kids, your grandkids, like it to me,
Yeah.
photography is something you just should never skimp on, ever. Like rule number one, get a planner. Rule number two, get an amazing photographer who's going to capture your day in an authentic.
Exactly. I think so, but it's harder for me to say it as a photographer, but I would do the same,
Yeah.
Like I think photography is that you have to look like you're going to look back on those photos and it's so sad if they don't resonate with you.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine? Like that to me just breaks my heart. Like
Yeah.
that's just unacceptable.
Well, it's funny, like quick little story. So my parents, we got married on their wedding date. We asked them permission. I know
Yeah.
they're happily married. They've been married for 50 almost 2 years now. And so we got married on their wedding day. Well, my mom, as we were planning our wedding, my mom started lamenting that one of the parts of her wedding photography that somehow got ruined, I still don't really know what happened to the photos, was during their cake cutting. And so she was like so sad about the fact that she has a memory in her mind of what that moment was like, but nothing. She doesn't have a photo of the cake. She doesn't have a photo of like any of that. And so at our wedding, we surprised them with their own anniversary cake. And like I smuggled the topper of their cake from 19 whatever and put it on the cake and had it like next to our cake. And then our photographer, they did like they actually got crazier than we did with like the smashing cake in each other's face. They like literally stole the scene. It was hilarious. But now she has professional photography of a different moment. Like I know we couldn't recreate her moment, but that's how, like here she was 30 some odd years later lamenting to me about how her wedding photos just from that one section, like she had beautiful photos throughout, but that one section, she was like, I'm so sad that got ruined. So it's just to say like, yeah.
But that's another thing to like trust your photographer has the moments, like trust that they actually know what they're doing. I mean, some people come in, like I teach a lot of photographers, and there's also like a certain responsibility, like I've done this for so many years. Like I know the drill, like my photographers know the drill. We're not going to miss a moment. Like sometimes the planners, they're all stressed out. I'm like,
you're like, we got this.
I'm not going to miss the cake, like we're not going to not be there for a moment.
They're like worried everyone's gonna be like vaping in the back. You're like, no, like we're professionals. We know what to be doing. Like, what are you thinking? But I'm sure you also work with planners who know your work ethic, who understand. So also, listener, Sandra has Åberg Atelier. Is it Atelier Åberg or which is it?
Atelier Åberg, yeah.
Okay. So she has a group of very vetted, very talented photographers. And this atelier is literally like you have worked with all of these people, you know their style, it reflects your style. So even if Sandra is not the one photographing, which you would know ahead of time if it was you or one of your associates, you're able to take your own brand, your own work ethic, your own like vision, and you have people that you've trusted. And oftentimes great photographers always have a second shooter anyway. So there's that I think a lot of people don't realize. Like if you're hiring a real expert, like a real professional photographer in a destination, they're going to have a second shooter or a third.
You like a second or a third. And,
yeah.
At almost every wedding, we seem to have a third shooter now. Because unless they're smaller, but otherwise, who's photographing the guests?
Yeah.
Because we have someone on the bride, like always me or the one in place of me with the bride, second shooter with the groom, and a third shooter with the guests.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to miss out on what they're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you want that whole story told. And it's just so fun to see, because I get to see it all come together. And I'm like, at that moment, he was crying and she was writing the letter and, and the guests were getting ready or,
Yeah. I mean, that's just it. You're kind of like the walls could talk in a way.
Exactly.
Think about it. Because the bride's over here doing her thing or, and so I think the fact that you have that covered, but also the guests, like there could be someone like doing beer bongs at the reception and they didn't know that even happened. And you know what I mean? Like, it's so fun to be able to look back and see what the guests are actually doing. So that's really cool.
I think that my couples really enjoy that. You get to have like that whole story told from so many perspectives. Mm-hmm. And that's what really creates like the complete story for them.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, I didn't know that happened. Or,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we get back, we're going to be talking about engagement photos and collaborating with videographers and trends and all sorts of fun things. So stay tuned.
Are you looking for the perfect vendors to help you perfect your wedding away? Well, look no further than DestinationIDo.com. From our homepage, simply click Find a Vendor, choose your vendor type, type in your destination, and hit Go. From there, you can view the vendors available to you, learn a little bit more about them, view their past work, or even go directly to their website. So you can take the guesswork out of finding your perfect vendors. Go to DestinationIDo.com/vendors.
And we are back with Sandra Åberg, and we are talking about what you need to know for your destination wedding photography. So my next question has to do with engagement photos. How important do you think they are? And do you feel like it's a good way to do like a test run with a photographer before booking them? Like, what's your feel on that?
I definitely think that's like, I love when couples want engagement photos. And even though maybe they did their actual, surprise engagement, they might just do an engagement when it fits. Because it's destinations, it's always a bit more tricky. So it would be like if they're in Italy looking at the venue, or sometimes it's like 2 days before their actual wedding. So it could be anything between that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's such a great opportunity to work together and
Yeah.
just be able to like have that feel, because on the wedding days there's just so much, like there's so many impressions, and it's so hard oftentimes to fully connect and to
Mm,
get that real connection. And for me, photography is all about connection. It's
yeah.
about light and connection, and like that. It's really kind of just simplistic for me. But without, if the connection is a bit broken, it just gets a tiny bit harder on the wedding day,
Mm-hmm.
to really like 100% get that. So for example, I had a wedding that I just photographed the actual wedding, and a year ago we did their engagement. And that was special because they flew in. They were going to check the venues, and I made sure we were there. Sometimes people include it fully and like do a full engagement session in their package. And sometimes it's more of like a let's do a 30-minute quick thing. But these guys had like included it. And we got to like spend this day together. And we went on a boat, and you know stuff goes down. It's not all perfect. It was very windy. It was very wavy. It's meant to just be like Amalfi Coast. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. And it's a bit more rough than that. And you just get to like have those moments of like real true connection. I'm there, I'm like getting a little seasick,
I'm
not
getting
seasick,
seasick just listening to this. So
right? Like you get those moments. And
yeah.
for me, like then showing up again on their wedding day, it's as if you've already established like a whole pre-story.
Yeah.
And they've seen those photos, and therefore they trust that you're for real. Like that really changes it changes that dynamic. They're like, no, she has us. Like she knows this. She knows my nose is a bit crooked from this angle, and we looked through those engagement photos and we didn't like that, or whatever that might be. Like, because all girls, we're a bit weird,
Oh,
there's all this stuff we don't like.
trust
And
me.
we go over that because then we're like, on the wedding day, you can just kind of, you know, take away all those worries and
Yeah.
just try to be more present. Because I think that today, that's like what we all struggle with in general, like being present, actually being in the moment. And I think just taking away that helps a lot. Like an engagement shoot helps so much with that comfort.
Well,
Knowing the little poses and like being like, we do that thing again. We did. Remember when we did that thing? That was really cute. Let's do that again. It's like easy.
yeah.
And I see my couples, a lot of them use the engagement photos almost more, or at least differently. It's
Mm-hmm.
more like, this is our story. This is more our little situation. That was the day we could like ugly laugh. And, like, it's like there's more room for these kind of like, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And we're not so set on having it perfect. And that really like takes away some of that stress. And we get those like super, like some of my favorite photos are probably engagement photos,
Yeah.
because there's that space that isn't like mom, dad, cousins, stress. I have like just this 30 minutes for this photo session. Like we have space and we have
Yeah.
time. And I usually am like, I take more time because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Sun is setting. Let's jump in the ocean.
Sandra's up for anything, like anything at
I
all.
need
She's
to
like,
have
you
a
want to
bikini
go
under
skydiving?
every
Let's do it.
outfit.
Yeah. You want to cliff dive in Costa Rica? I'm in. Like doing a swan dive.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Next question. All right, we gotta get serious here. Um, I know that everyone's like chasing this idea of having timeless photos. Like, what does that mean? And is it attainable? Like, really? Because I mean, there's trends, there's people wearing this or that, hairstyles, makeup styles. But is there a way to make a photo look timeless? And if there is, like, what do you advise?
So for me, timeless means obviously you see an era, right? Like we all see eras in like we see like, oh, that was the 80s, you know, like that was the 90s. Like we see it, but I think the way to create timeless for me is a lot in the editing.
Mm,
So it's like, for example, for me, all black and white photos in some way is timeless. Like it just shows that it takes away all the like that bright pink dress and that like all those things that stick out that was very in fashion just that summer, you know,
yeah.
it completely removes that. So black and white's like my grandfather was a photographer, and when I look at his work, it could have been there's a bit of grain, and I like to have grain in my photos, which kind of complement the timeless
Mhm.
feel. But like if I took his photo, I wouldn't know it was taken, 100 years ago, or if it was taken like now. And that's to me timeless. So black and white makes that really easy. But I think also in colors, if you keep pretty consistent with real life tones and or film tones, because we had film throughout before all the digital came in, that to me is kind of what describes timeless. Like it could have been then, it could also be now. And of course, like we see the outfits or there's trending, like you have the caped veil or you have all these things. But but there's still an element of like timelessness in how it's photographed,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think.
Let's talk for a second about collaborating with videographers and planners in a way that impacts like the final outcome for the couples. How do you do that? Like, is it, does it make the most sense for you to work with the planner? Do you ever just work with the planner, or do you work with the planner and the couple? And then when video comes in, that's a whole nother element. Like, how do you collaborate with them so that it's like just just right?
I think so. In Atelier, we have our own videography team that I only bring in if we photograph the wedding. And
Oh,
the
okay.
reason for that has become because they, how do you say it? I get to be the boss, everybody aligns. And so for video, it's always that like, it's rare now. I think it's rarely a problem. But in the earlier days, it could be a problem that you're kind of like trying to like get in the same spot, get the
Mhm.
same angles, get in each other's shots. And obviously today you can edit it out as well. But I think it was known to be a bit of a problem. Like today, it's rarely a problem because the people that we work with are also working at a higher level. But I think it's important for people to at least consider it,
Yeah.
to consider, are your videographers recommended by your photographer? That I think is a green flag. I would only recommend videographers that I know because I'm like shoulder to shoulder with the video guy girl all day, and I want to make sure like that's the right one to rub, like we want to have like a good vibe
Yeah.
because it affects it if it's not. um so I think just making sure that they recommend each other or they're happy working together or know of each other is like really, really smart for couples to just think about. I think the planners always consider that as well. And usually you work with teams you work with before because the planners like to work with the same people. So they'll recommend, a videographer and a photographer that are a good team or that are a fun vibe together or, in that way.
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say that I have favorites to
Yes.
work with.
Well, that makes sense though. I mean, I'm sure there's times where you have been shoulder to shoulder with someone that maybe gives you the ick, or, I mean,
Yeah,
humans, they're not all perfect.
not all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do want to just pick your brain really quickly about trends. And the thing I love about you is you are not a trend follower, you are a trend setter. I mean, you just look at your work, you look at like what you're doing, who you're partnering with, how you're running your business, and you are ahead of the pack. So, with that in mind, are there any things that you just you love seeing at weddings right now that are like currently trends that other people are setting that you're like, oh, I love that. I really hope that sticks around, or anything that you're like, bye, Felicia.
I think one of the things that I really enjoy, like this season, I've seen a lot of like very personal touches. And I really, really like that. It's not necessarily like super amazing to photograph, but I just think that, it's not. I've had this wedding couple, they wrote on every single back of every menu, they had written a personal note. And I thought, you know what, that is probably my favorite trend, if not, like I thought that was just so beautiful because you're highlighting connection and honestly photographing the wedding because of the emotion they brought into it. Like I cried 3 times at this wedding, like I was bawling crying. It's like, this is not good. This is not good. I'm gonna get blurry photos. Get your shit together. And I told them, and because I was so connected to them, and that the personal touches, I think, brings everyone in. And then in my translation in photography, like that brings beautiful, real photos of real emotion, not faked. I'm over the faked. I'm over the staged. I'm over all that. Like I'm into the real, the messier, the ugly cry. Like, let's get it in there.
You want to see like the giant gorilla tear like rolling down the cheek. Yeah. Or no, it's crocodile tear. Yeah. Anyway. My daughter gets those. Hers literally like fly off her cheeks like a cartoon. She'd be great for you to photograph. She has these humongous bright blue eyes, and just her tears literally like fly off her cheeks. It's so cute.
That's what I want at wedding. I feel like that should be trending, whether it is or not.
Crocodile tears. Yes.
Exactly.
This has been so amazing. I just could not adore you more. I honestly, like, 20 years, maybe you can come with us to Italy and Switzerland while we celebrate and photograph me and Steiner. You want to come?
Happening. It's happening.
It's happening.
You just tell me the date.
I love it.
We're jumping in a lake.
We're jumping in a lake, Lake Como. We'll do a little,
Yes.
we'll make sure we get our motion sickness pills ahead of time. So
I'll bring them, don't worry.
Perfect. Sandra, you are seriously just a love. You're just amazing. You're talented. You're authentic. You're literally all the things. And I just so appreciate your time. And if you would like to follow Sandra on her website, you can go to sandraaberg.com or atelierAberg.com. Her Instagram is at Sandra Åberg and Atelier Åberg. If you want to follow us, we are destinationIdo.com online and Destination I Do on all the socials. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.